All right, the Republican Party of Texas announces legislative priorities for 2025. This is good stuff right here. This is what is on our agenda for the upcoming legislative session here in the state of Texas. Number one, border enforcement. To repel invasion and deter illegal immigration, creating a Texas Department of Homeland Security to prevent illegal entry and trafficking and to deport illegal aliens to Mexico or the nations of origin. Prohibiting with mandatory fines and jail time individuals, corporations, nonprofits, governments, and social media entities from assisting or inciting illegal entry. Sounds reasonable right there. Requiring the use of E-Verify by all employers in Texas with significant penalties for business owners who violate this requirement. I think that's huge because that will disincentivize people from coming to the state of Texas to try to get jobs if they know that there's E-Verify. Florida passed this, I believe, last year, and I think we need to do the same. So this is great. I think this is actually going to be a huge deterrent right here. Ending all subsidies and public services, including in-state college tuition, yes, and enrollment in public schools for illegal aliens except for emergency medical care. I think that's completely reasonable to not allow illegal aliens to get in-state college tuition. Why was this a thing in the first place in our state? I don't know. But yeah, this is number one on the list. Number two, secure Texas elections. Securing elections from each citizen registration to the final count of legal votes by requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote. Yes. Requiring the counties and Secretary of State to update voter rolls at least quarterly, requiring mandatory photo ID for every election without exception, restricting mail-in ballots to disabled military and eligible citizens who are out of their county for the entire voting period, using only hand-marked, sequentially numbered paper ballots on anti-counterfeiting paper that are signed on by the by the election official at the voting location. Standardizing in-person voting with early voting limited to a period of no longer than 9 days, no gap before election day, and assigned precinct voting locations only. Counting ballots in precinct using a thumb scanner method or as soon as the ballot is returned by the voter and with publication of the results prior to the submission of the county. Closing party primaries for only registered Republicans. This is one that some people are 50-50 on because they're worried that, okay, I get it, you don't want Democrats infiltrating Republican primaries. I do not want that at all, and I've been against that. But then there's the other side, which I read recently, that says you're going to close off primaries to new Republican voters. Maybe Democrats or somebody in the middle who's not registered to any particular party, they may want to come in and vote for Trump last minute. That's what the concern is. So there are some things that need to be worked out there, but I get it. Explicitly codifying the ability of the Attorney General to prosecute violations of the election code. Yes, we had a Supreme Court justices, some rogue Supreme Court justices here in Texas back in 2021 that restricted the Attorney General here in Texas from prosecuting election crimes. Can't happen. He must be able to prosecute every election crime possible here in the state of Texas. Removing existing Secretary of State waivers to comply with current election code. Number three, stop sexualizing Texas kids. Stopping the sexualization of minors, which leads to abuse, exploitation, and trafficking by prohibiting taxpayer funding to any entities that permit or promote sexually inappropriate content to minors, and legislatively banning instruction on sexual orientation and gender ideology in schools and libraries, repelling affirmative defenses in Texas Penal Code, and redefining harmful materials to remove loopholes provided by the modified Miller test, establishing an independent inspector general for education to investigate fraud, waste, abuse, and criminal conduct within schools, and refer findings to prosecutorial authorities. compelling superintendents to report sex crimes within schools to outside law enforcement, and removing immunity from civil liability for schools and their employees. Yes. Number 4, a big one. These are all great things. Let's see. No Republican-controlled Texas legislature shall end the Republican-controlled Texas legislature shall end the practice of awarding committee chairmanships to Democrats and require all committees to be majority Republican. Yes, because we want our agenda passed. We elect Republicans here in Texas to get our agenda passed, but then they put Democrat chairs in those positions. Primarily, Dade Phelan, Speaker of the House here in Texas, he puts Democrats in committee chairs, and then they block some of our things from getting passed. It shouldn't happen. We want our state to be fully a red state. We're a red state, but we want Austin to do the job it's supposed to do. That we elected them to do. This is number 5. Ban taxpayer-funded lobbying, prohibiting all forms of taxpayer-funded lobbying, including the use of tax dollars to hire lobbyists and payment of tax dollars to associations that lobby the legislature. Another important one, secure the electric grid. Securing the integrity of Texas electricity production and delivery of abundant, reliable, and resilient energy, ensuring that the Texas grid can withstand any natural or man-made threat to include weather, cyber, physical, or EMP, yes, and geomagnetic disturbances. This is huge. Look, we have our own power grid here in the state of Texas, and it's critically important to protect it from any type of attack, whether it's a natural disaster, cyber attack, anything like that. My biggest concern is an EMP. I don't want some lunatic from Iran or China coming in, or I don't want any of those rogue nations launching an EMP attack and attacking the Texas grid, taking down our grid. We have to protect it at all costs. We have 30 million people that live in the state. It's important that we protect this place and protect the country itself, just in general, from these types of attacks. Look, I don't know. There are different. The extreme level is that 90% of the people won't survive an EMP attack, a catastrophic EMP attack, and then there's the other side, kind of in the middle, that says, well, it may not be as bad as it's made out to be. But we don't want the extreme to happen. We don't want anything to happen at all. So it's important that we get these things passed. Securing the grid is crucial. I know there's a lot of concern with what happened in 2021 with the winter storm here. That was a once-in-a-century type deal. And while it was, it could have been very catastrophic for the state of Texas as far as the grid. Almost, it was this close to coming to a complete failure. But there have been some changes made. And if you go to ERCOT.com, you can see how many megawatts we have available at the moment. And that number has increased. I'll go to it right now. All right, so right now we are at 11,319. And right now in Texas, where I am in North Texas, it is, 80-something degrees right now. It's going to be 98 today. This is a lot. Before this used to say, at this time of the day, with this temperature, maybe 6,000 or 7,000 megawatts available. But you can clearly see that this has gone up. At nighttime, a lot of people are at home. It's still pretty high. I keep a close watch on this because I don't want any kind of grid failure. And Greg Abbott has signed some bills into law to produce more energy and make the grid stronger. So I can see it with my own two eyes. Don't let these people on the left tell you that, oh, the grid is gonna fail in Texas. They can't even keep their lights on. People are still saying that 3 years later. And Jumpin' Jack Flat Beto mentioned that in his campaign. Oh, Greg Abbott can't keep the lights on. It was a one-time deal in a once-in-a-century type storm. But we have made changes, and we do have more energy here in the state of Texas. Texas, number 7. Texas is not for sale. Banning the sale of real property in Texas and discontinuing taxpayer funding and incentives to governments, entities, and proxies of China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia, and to individuals from these nations who are not legal permanent residents or citizens of the United States. Yes, we should not be selling land to our enemies, to our adversaries. China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia should not be able to come in here and snatch up a bunch of land. No, I think every nation, state across the country should pass some kind of law banning these adversaries from coming and buying up land. Now, if you're a citizen, a permanent resident, totally fine, but you shouldn't just be able to come over here and infiltrate our land, especially not here in the state of Texas. And federal overreach, resisting unconstitutional federal acts and mandates that restrict transportation, including mandatory kill switches in vehicles, road diets, and restrictions on the owner's rights to repair vehicles and equipment, ensuring that Texans have medical freedom and give or without consent for any vaccine or medical treatment without corrosion, whatever that says, are not discriminated against based on vaccine status, yes, and are not faced with any vaccine or medical mandate by public or private entities. Yes, we don't want any federal overreach when it comes to vaccines. Don't discriminate against people with vaccines or anything like that. I'm not vaccinated. I'm proudly unvaccinated with the COVID vaccine, that is. Maybe when I was a kid, that was different. I had vaccines when I had to go to school. But as far as any vaccine related to COVID-19, zero. Big fat zero. All right, so I wanted to share that with you. These are the legislative priorities for the state of Texas in 2025. I think we had a pretty decent legislative session in 2023. 2021 got some good things passed, like election integrity. We had some border security measures passed. Last year, what was that, 2021, we had the abortion bill passed. So I think there were some good things. Greg Abbott has moved further to the right, I think, because there's been a lot of pressure on him. So I think it's been successful. The liberals have gone crazy. So once we make them mad, we know we're doing a good job. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. It's very important here in the state of Texas. We want to keep Texas red. We want to keep it. We want to make this place a shield, a place, safeguard ourselves from any type of activity from the federal government, from the left, from any type of lunacy. We want to keep Texas a safe space. Same with North Carolina, Florida, Idaho, Tennessee. These red states, we had to make them sanctuaries from left-wing lunacy. And we saw that with COVID-19. You have the Republican governors in the states doing things, opening up the economy, attracting people there to those places because there was a lot of government overreach, state government overreach in these blue states. So I think this is important that we pass. Like example, look at California, you look at Texas. Illegal immigration has dropped here in the state of Texas because of the efforts we put in at the border. Operation Lone Star, some of the bills that we passed as well, more funding, things like that for more border security, building of a wall. And then we see places like California where you're seeing the numbers go up because they're not really doing anything from what I can see. So yeah, it's important to keep these red states red and make them more red and use it as a shield from left-wing lunacy. A sanctuary, I should say. But all right, guys, I wanted to leave that right there. Hope you enjoyed this. I wanted to get this out to you. It's very important coming up for next year. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it as I want to see what's going to get passed here in the great state of Texas. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Thank you. Take care.